I hope y'all are pulling your phones out. If you have, pull your phones out. I'm not joking. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. I want you guys to take a picture. Most of you guys don't know who these people are. You're going to. You're going to. You want to think about Ella Jo Baker. You want to think about Fannie Lou Hamer. You want to think about Rosa Parks. You want to think about serious freedom fighters who stepped into the breach and bent history in a different direction. That's what you want to think about. You will be mad at yourself if you don't take this picture, or at least get somebody who took it to share it with you. To complete my thought, and then we'll talk. Our big problem is not going to be learning all this stuff. Our big problem is going to be unlearning all the way stuff is supposed to be that was taught and told to us before all this was possible. That's why a Will.i.am is so important. That's why a Tiffany is so important. That's why Alex Rivera is so important, because they never bought this stuff in the first place. And so they were ready to make the leap. But most people are not ready. And they're going to need guides. They're going to need explanation. They're going to need an understanding. And we are so blessed to have both of you in position to do both. So I want to brag a little bit on Joy. We'll get to you, X, in a minute.
No, her first. She's the truth.
Hey, listen. Hey, seriously. And I love because you guys have the opposite path. You know what I mean? So we'll get to it all. We'll get to all of it. I'm honored to meet you both. To actually see you in person, it's an honor for me. Joy, if you don't know who she is a sister who went to MIT, the future factory, with all the other geniuses, got a PhD in all this stuff, and discovered something before anybody else discovered it, which is that these algorithms that everybody saw as neutral, you know, and grade and whatever, actually, because the algorithms were based on information from society, and society is biased, the algorithms were biased. And when she said that, it had never been said before. It's very hard to say something new with 10,000 years of human civilization and all sort of stuff. But when she said it, and the way that she said it, and the credibility she brought to it, being one of the top people at MIT, it shocked the world. And so your timing couldn't be better. Finally, the world's starting to catch up to you. Last week, in the UK, they had a big summit. Biden put out a big executive order. But I think the most important thing that happened last week was your book came out. Your book came out. Give her her due. Give her her due. Unmasking AI. Released 9 days ago. We got to make it a bestseller. We have to make it a bestseller. Your TED Talk has 1 million views plus. You literally wrote the book on bias. Would you please talk about where you're from, how you got here, and what this book is about?
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Can y'all hear her? Oh, wait, y'all messing up.
Y'all hear me? Hello? My heart smiles as I bask in their legacies, knowing their lives have altered many destinies. Okay, can machines ever see my queens as I view them? Can machines ever see our grandmothers as we knew them? Y'all can hear me? Yeah.
Wait, hold on, I'm gonna give you mine.
All right.
Do that again.
My heart smiles as I bask in their legacies. There we go. Knowing their lives have altered many destinies. In her eyes, I see my mother's poise. In her face, I glimpse my auntie's grace. In this case of deja vu, a 19th century question comes into view. In a time when Sojourner Truth asked, "Ain't I a woman?" Today, we pose these questions to new powers, making bets on artificial intelligence, hope towers. The Amazonians peek through windows blocking deep blues as faces increment scars. Old burns, new urns collecting data chronicling our past, often forgetting to deal with gender, race, and class. Again, I ask, ain't I a woman? Face by face, the answers seem uncertain. Young and old, proud icons are dismissed. Can machines ever see my queens as I view them? Can machines ever see our grandmothers as we knew them?
Woo! That's it.
So, I am a poet of code. I am also the founder of the Algorithmic Justice League. I have 4 academic degrees and an honorary degree, which is a doctorate of fine arts. When I was at MIT, as Van was talking about, I had this experience of literally coding in whiteface. I was working on an art project, and that project used face tracking. It didn't detect my face until I put on a white mask. So Fanon already said it, black skin, white mask. I just didn't think it'd be so literal. And so that's why the cover has the mask. That's why it's Unmasking AI, because that was my journey of starting to ask, are computers as neutral as they seem? TLDR, nope. Nope. And so this gave rise to this notion of the coded gaze, like how we have the male gaze and the white gaze and the post-colonial gaze. The coded gaze is a cousin concept to that. And it's bringing a world of the X-coded, those who are otherwise excluded, condemned, convicted. So people like Portia Woodruff, who was arrested 8 months pregnant, sitting in a jail cell because of facial recognition misidentification powered by AI. And this is what I was talking about in my TED Talk in 2016. If I'm coding in a white mask, and we're looking at the types of algorithms that are in that process, what does it mean not just for me as a student at MIT, but for people on the streets who can be X-coded when these systems are used in the real world and come out of the lab? What does it mean if AI systems are used for who gets hired, who gets fired, right? Who gets a loan, who gets a mortgage, who gets the kidney transplant? Where we see all the racial bias of the past being encoded into the supposed technology of the future. So that's why I started the Algorithmic Justice League, right? So we can free the X-coded.
Damn. now see? When you're a real pioneer, you actually have to create the language because the condition is so new and so awful, so X-coded. That's new. That's bars. That's new.
Absolutely.
And because there are going to be new forms of opportunity, but also new forms of injustice, we're going to have freedom fighters like her. So in addition to the book, she has an organization called the Algorithmic Justice League. You want to think Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, right? The new young people who understand this stuff and know how we're going to get screwed and how to fight back. And so I'm not joking. If you didn't take a picture, you're going to be very disappointed in yourself. And now I want to move on to you, X.
I don't have no bars like y'all. Like I'm gonna let her do the poetry. And I tell y'all, she's the OG. She's the OG in this space, and it shaped so much of my direction in this space. So it's an honor to be up here with you, Joy.
Yeah. What I love about your journey is that both your journeys are replicable, but you really self-taught. Mm-hmm. And now all the big tech companies basically have to deal with you. They have to deal with you. And it's amazing to think about because, you know, some of us will get a chance to go to the MITs, but, you know, you were the only little raisin in that whole ice cream, store a lot of the times. You figured out a way to teach yourself this stuff. Talk a little bit about your path and a little bit about what you're concerned about going forward, and then we'll get to the positive stuff. But talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, can y'all hear me? All right, so much like algorithms, when I grew up, I was one of 8 children in a neighborhood up north in Northern California called Richmond. Grew up really poor, so just like algorithms, I had a lot of bad data going into my life about what I was supposed to be doing. So by the time I was 16, I was facing 3 felonies and 27 years in jail. Ended up getting in a deferment program and said, I ain't going back there in any kind of way. Right. So I dropped out of high school. A mentor bribed me to learn how to code. He slapped a book on the table, put $1,000, like, do every exercise in this book, I'll give you the money. And halfway through, I was selling websites and never looked back.
Wow.
So I'm a high school dropout.
Bay
You know what
Area.
I mean? So then after that, you know, I went to community college. I was like, man, I don't have the discipline to like be a great college student. Called up a brother of mine, one of my many siblings, and he was like, you should join the military, but like do the reserves. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do what my brother said. So I did. Ended up getting into UC Berkeley, and between my junior and senior year, I got deployed to Afghanistan.
Damn.
So when I was in Afghanistan from 2012 to 2014, I worked at the headquarters of special operations for all US forces, all ISAF and NATO forces. Literally. Like, I have a picture on my Instagram of me getting promoted by Tony Thomas, who ended up going on to run all special operations for the US military. So while I was there, I was working on systems that don't exist, right? You think about the technology we have now, I mean, some of the stuff that's on market now, I'm like, dang, we had facial recognition that could see people from 13,000 feet in the air in 2015 and decide to drop a bomb on them. Right? So that's really where I got my up-leveling and got my skill inside of AI. Eventually, I ended up at Microsoft, where I spent a couple years helping big companies figure out how to innovate. So like, how do you bridge blockchain, AI, and IoT together to do some cool stuff without crypto, right? So I'm actually credited with bringing some of the first blockchain use cases to market. I built systems for Xbox, Nestle, 3M, et cetera. And then there was this one time when it clicked for me. I was doing a pilot of an AI system that was using drones for a winery, right? Like they wanted the drone to look and tell the crop health and like, you know, use some ultrasonic sounds to like scare animals away. And I was like, okay, this is a good system, but what are you gonna do with the farm workers? I was like, you should train them to be drone pilots and be like drone mechanics. And so we had a handshake deal, and the day the demo went into effect and they decided to buy it, they fired half the people. So I said, I can't do this. So I ended up at Google in the responsible AI space, working with a colleague of ours, Timnit Gebru. Yes. Shout out to Timnit, who's incredible as well. Worked across the whole company to build infrastructure to figure out how we can make sure that all of Google's algorithms were checked for issues with bias. When we found them, how do we fix them? If we didn't know how to fix them, how do we research them? Then I was like, after George Floyd, it was like, nah, bruh, like, I need to work on AI for us. So with Timnit, we started a research team called Skin Tone, which was looking at these facial recognition systems don't see us. One, why don't they see us? And two, what can we do about it? And we boiled it down to the fact that the skin color scale that they were using to test these systems and to build them, the darkest point on that scale was like me in the summer. So all these people out here saying, oh yeah, we tested it, it's fair, and you ain't got black and brown people on the scale. So we partnered up with a professor out of Harvard, Dr. Monk. He created a more inclusive scale. We validated it. We gave it away to the world for free. It's now an industry standard. So Facebook uses it, Meta, the FDA, integrated it into a bunch of different Google products like Google Image Search, Google Pixel phones. And then I said, bye, Google. And now I run my own company, Malo Santo. Yeah. So I've had we just started in April, but already we have L'Oreal as a client. We work with LG, we work with Mozilla, built some AI for Lena Waithe's company, working on some AI for some music companies. So really just looking at how can we make sure AI helps more people than it harms, right?
Wow. Hey, look.
Y'all better take that picture and send it to me, tag me in it. Malo Santo, which is Spanish for bad saint, which is the challenge that we have with AI. Is it gonna save us or destroy us? And the answer is, what will we choose?
What will we choose? Hey, listen, we literally could talk to you guys forever, and we will be hearing about you forever. Give a round of applause to Joy and X. As they leave the stage, I want you to do me a favor. How many of you guys have Amazon or something like that? Okay, good, almost everybody. Her book is called Unmasking AI. Her book is called Unmasking AI. And here's what happens. She's the first again. She was the first of the first of the first. She's the first again. She's the first one to write this down and put it out there. And it needs to be a massive bestseller so that the next one and the next one, we can build a whole literature of literacy for justice in this century, which is different literature and different literacy than what we dealt with before all this stuff. And so I would ask everybody here to if you are willing to buy this sister's book, would you raise your hand? If you're willing, okay, Pastor Carl already ordered it. If you're willing to raise your hand, look at your neighbor, raise your hand, see if your neighbor got their hand up. If not, shame them. Shame them, shame them, shame them. And give a round of applause to Joy and X. Appreciate you very much. It's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor.
There you go.